Arthur is a hybrid dark ride and roller coaster at Europa Park. This was the prototype for Mack's inverted spinning powered roller coaster, and this ride has been a resounding success, as it's one of the park's premier family rides. I'll explain what makes this ride so cool in this review. Powered coasters rose to prominence in the late 1970s and early 1980s. These rides were not gravity-driven like traditional roller coasters. Rather, they were electrically powered at all times. One of the earliest manufacturers of powered coasters was Mack Rides. This German manufacturer has made over 4 dozen such rides across the globe. Most are sit-down junior coasters such as Alpen Express Enzian at Europa Park. But a decade ago, they developed a more complex version known as the inverted powered coaster. The key advantage of this model is the train design. The cars are positioned beneath the track for superior sightlines. The vehicles have a controlled rotation, so riders can strategically be positioned for different show scenes or ride elements. This means the designers have full control what the guests see at all times. The trains can also slow down and stop to maximize show scenes, but they can noticeably accelerate for some thrills during the coaster bits. The first installation fittingly went to Europa Park. This German theme park is owned directly by the Mack family, meaning they use the park as a functional showroom for their rides. Arthur opened in 2014 as part of the Minimoys Kingdom. This area as a whole is themed to the Arthur franchise. This franchise consists of multiple books and films. The premise is that a young boy discovers the Minimoys, or in English the Invisibles, who are a race of small people living in his backyard. Arthur then goes on adventures with them. The initial film was widely panned and a box office bomb in the United States due to a series of edits by Harvey Weinstein's company, but the original cut was popular and successful overseas, particularly in Europe. The Minimoys Kingdom is located towards the back of Europa Park. The outdoor section is very green. Between the landscaping, a few bits of Arthur that runs outdoors, and the giant show building in the background. But a majority of the area takes place inside that very show building. And this indoor land looks fantastic. Guests are shrunk down to the size of the Minimoys, so small objects appear larger than life. It sort of reminds me of the old Honey, I Shrunk the Kids play area at Disney's Hollywood Studios. The whole land is dark and strategically lit, but it gives off a whimsical vibe. There are a few smaller rides, but the anchor attraction is Arthur. This is easily the focal point of the entire land. You can see the track spiraling above the midway. Then the ride's entrance features a Minimoy animatronic. Arthur is one of the most popular rides at Europa Park. This is because it has a low height limit and a kid-friendly IP, but it's also a well-themed attraction that can be appreciated by everyone. So it often has a 30 to 45 minute wait. The queue is mostly indoors and well themed at least. There are 2 ways to avoid a long wait. 1. Head here immediately after the park opens. If you arrive within the first half hour, your wait time should be minimal. 2. Utilize the single rider line. If you don't mind splitting up your group, this often gets you on the ride in 5 to 10 minutes maximum. For a brief time during the pandemic, the single rider line was replaced with a virtual queue lane. This was a free skip-the-line pass that guests could book on the app, but it was recently phased out for the single rider line once again. Arthur has good capacity, which keeps the line moving. The ride is capable of accommodating up to 1,500 to 1,600 riders per hour, which is an impressive figure, and there are a few reasons for this. 1. The ride runs several vehicles at once. This is definitely needed because each vehicle holds just 12 riders. Each train has 3 cars, seating guests 4 across. 2. Nothing can be stored off to the side, meaning guests can go directly to the vehicle. If you have any bags or loose articles, these are stored in complimentary lockers before you reach the platform. 3. The ride utilizes a continuously moving load platform. This gives guests urgency to load and unload quickly, allowing the ride to more frequently achieve its theoretical capacity. 4. The ride's comfortable lap bars that are lowered and checked automatically. Mack has used this system on many of their newer coasters. Now, due to the station setup, you cannot wait for a specific row. That being said, I don't think the row matters much in this ride. All seats feel identical from a thrill perspective. Then the rotating seats give everyone a similarly great view during the show scenes. Once the ride starts, the ride's brilliant musical score begins, and this carries through the entire experience. The first scene consists of some video screens as you're shrunk down to the size of a mini-moy. The screens in this ride are large and clear when used. Fortunately, this ride relies far more on physical set pieces, which is my personal preference with the dark ride. The next two scenes introduce you to the mini-moys and their environment. There are a handful of animatronics. They don't have too much movement, but the characters do look good, and the backgrounds capture the fantastical nature of the IP. You then encounter one of the antagonists. It's a menacing monster figure, accompanied by icy blue lights and ominous music. You then briefly accelerate outdoors, which is a surprise reveal. Then you perform a 180-degree turn. At the same time, the cars perform a full rotation to add some disorientation to an otherwise mild element. You then head back inside for my favorite dark ride scene in the ride, Paradise Alley. This is a colorful and bustling city. You then come face to face with a giant rat. It lunges towards guests, and then you accelerate. You leave the dark show scenes, and you find yourself spiraling above the indoor midway. It is mild in terms of speed and forces, but it's all about the visuals. It is cool seeing the land from above. Seeing the buildings beneath you sort of reminds me of Peter Pan's flight. You then encounter the main antagonist in Maltazard, who has imprisoned our heroes. Behind him is a large ruby, which is the treasure you're seeking. You fire a light beam, causing the wall to crumble through a fun screen effect. At the same time, the train accelerates one last time outdoors. You have a downwards S-bend followed by an upwards helix. The ride only reaches a max speed of 19 miles per hour or 31 kilometers per hour, but the last two turns here pull some light positive Gs, especially when you combine that with the spinning. This is also paired with a wonderfully triumphant musical score. You then decelerate and head back indoors for one last show scene. You find the heroes with their ruby. They bid farewell, and you return to the station, ending the 1,800-foot or 550-meter long coaster. That is pretty short for most coasters, but this is actually a nice long ride because of all the dark ride scenes. Start to finish, you have over 4 minutes in duration. This ride's story is well paced, appropriately slowing down and speeding up the vehicle to accompany the story. Then it's an incredibly smooth ride, which is not too surprising given its mild nature. So what would I rate Arthur? I would give this ride an 8 out of 10. This is a great attraction. It compares more favorably to dark rides for me than a coaster. The music is brilliant, and the show scenes are well done. I particularly like the physical sets, but the screens do work well when added. Then the coaster bits add a bit of pep to the experience that you don't typically get in other dark rides. I'm not attached to the Arthur IP in any way, but I can certainly appreciate the effort and quality of this attraction. To date, Mack has only sold 2 additional inverted powered coasters. One is Dragon Gliders at Motion Gate Dubai. This ride feels similar to Arthur, as it has a similar coaster section and an equally high reliance on dark ride elements. The other is Jurassic Flyers at Universal Studios Beijing. While the latter is atmospheric as it winds its way through the land, it oddly does not have any dark ride scenes. This is shocking and disappointing for a park that does theming as well as Universal. I would love to see this ride model come to the United States. I particularly want to see this ride at a Disney park, because they could absolutely maximize the storytelling potential of the ride model in a similar fashion to what Europa Park did with Arthur. So those are my thoughts on Arthur. the prototype inverted powered coaster for Mack rides. What are your thoughts about this coaster? Are you excited for the future of this model? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.